Hey everyone, Ashley Stroline in for Chris Jenkins again today, covering Panthers training camp for Charlotte Vibe. It is Tuesday, August 12th, and today a big factor was the weather. The team had to move their start time numerous times depending on when they wanted to take the field to try and avoid some of that rain, but nonetheless, we've seen a lot of that in Charlotte lately. Cool temperatures, rain, clouds, not the norm for August in the Queen City, but it is what we have right now, and it's what the team did have to practice in today. So they eventually took the field around 11:15 this morning. Unlike Monday, this was not a padded practice, so none of that today, but we did get a chance to see that on Monday. And if you didn't see the practice video, it's still up, so you can go watch that now, catch up on everything that's happened this week so far. And I know Chris normally gives you the play-by-play of every play he sees during team drills, just like yesterday. I'm going to give you some of those plays and the highlights, but before we get to that portion, I want to start with post-practice press conferences. We heard from a number of members of this organization, including defensive coordinator Ejiro Evero. We heard from offensive coordinator Brad Idzik, special teams coordinator Tracy Smith, and Panthers quarterback Jaycee Horn. And that's where we're going to start. Jaycee took the podium to share how he's feeling post that car crash he was involved in and where he's at in his recovery process, as he does have stitches in his hand.
I'm good. Try to get some stitches. When I get them out, I'll be ready to roll.
And how scary was that, JC?
I'm good, man. I get the stitches out, I'll be ready to roll. I'm gonna leave it at that.
You obviously had the stitches in the rain. Was there any, Dave's brought up kind of like the concern about potentially getting an infection, or are you like heavily taping it? Or?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm on track to be back practicing. I just got to wait so I can get the stitches out, and then I'm ready to go.
Do you think that'll happen before Houston?
I'm not sure.
It forced you to work on your one-handed catches?
Yeah, that's what I was working on today.
I saw you had a right-handed catch during the warm-ups. Do you like practicing that kind of stuff?
I wasn't practicing one-hand catches. I just wanted to stay in the groove, seeing the ball at the quarterback hands and breaking on the ball. It was more so for that reason, but it's fun to try to make the one-hand catch.
What do you think of Jalen Coker's one-handed catch that technically didn't count the other day?
In the game?
Yeah.
Coke always made those plays. And then I think yesterday he had a crazy catch versus one of our corners. But yeah, I'm used to it now. With the ball in the air, he a big body, a strong guy. He can come down with it.
Coach Idzik was up here a few minutes ago. He talks about, between yourself and Mike Jack, the conversations you're able to have and how that's making the offense better. From your perspective, how does that typically go down in practice after?
Say it one more time.
Brad Idzik, he was saying just how much he's learning from both yourself, Mike Jack, having those conversations and making the offense better. I'm curious of your perspective of those interactions with him.
Yeah, no, we always talk to because we be going back and forth after 7-on-7 period, or talking a little trash, but we always asking for insight, like what he was thinking on that when he drew that play up, or what coverage he was looking for, and we kind of just bounce ideas back and forth just to for me and Mike Jack, try to get into the old coordinators' heads to see what they're gonna be thinking on certain down and distances, and then I guess for him, like he said, just getting feedback from me and Mike Jack on how we thinking and how we playing it. It'll help both of us on game day to be better.
Jaycee, I know you haven't faced Jimmy Horn a lot in practice, but how would you cover him for a guy like that?
Man, you gotta put hands on Jimmy. He too fast. You can't. It's hard to garner from off because of his speed. He played tough. I don't think he get a lot of credit for how tough he played, his size, because he is a smaller receiver. But you see him in camp, he made a tough catch across the middle today. He'll lay out for it. So he's a great receiver.
Second year going against Leggett in practice. Anything you noticed different about him this year?
Just small nuances, coming back to the ball. He just seemed more comfortable in his flow. That's all I got.
We had Idzik in here earlier, and he said that Hunter Renfrow can give him 5 seconds, he can get open against anybody. What do you see out of him?
Man, Renfrow the same way. I said it earlier in camp. He real good at creating separation with his route stems, and he adds so much trickery in his routes. So he definitely a tough cover.
Corey Thornton's been a great story in camp. He's gotten a lot of action out there. What have you seen from him and just his mentality coming in as an undrafted player?
Just a worker. I'm actually surprised he went undrafted. I ain't looked at none of his college tape, but from what I see, he should have been drafted because he's strapping. He getting the defense super fast. And he always coming to me every day asking questions How did you approach your first joint practice as a rookie, or how are you approaching your first preseason game, and what you thinking right here? And for rookies, that's what you want to see, just guys that's willing to learn and willing to try to get better every day, and he got that.
You see that big hit that he had Friday night?
Oh, yeah, on the reverse. Yeah. He got the defense fired up with that one. And, he made plays all throughout the game, so, I'm excited for him.
So as you just heard Jaycee share, it is to be determined if he will take the field with the team in Houston for those joint practices against the Texans or in the team's second preseason game this weekend. Moving on now to Jaycee's defensive coordinator, Ejiro Evero. He talked about a number of topics, including the linebacker competition and just the competition he wants to see overall amongst his group.
Exciting to be back with the guys, and I'm really enjoying this group of players that we have. They give us so much energy, and they give the best. They're coachable. They give great effort in the classroom, in the meeting room, in the on the field, in the weight room, all those different types of things. And so, I just want to give a little kudos to our staff as well. They are just doing an excellent job, starting with Todd Wash, Dom Capers, Andrew Carter, Pete Hansen, Ronaldo Hill, Jonathan Cooley, Alir Amini, Kevin Peterson, Mayor Chad Hurry. All of those guys are just excellent coaches, teachers, driven, dedicated, ambitious, and so they're really pouring into our guys, and we're seeing the results of that. And so excited to play this next game against the Texans and practice against them, and another opportunity for us to get better.
I have a two-part question. We've seen all the stats and all those things last year. You guys had some injuries on that side of the ball. Was there any point in last season where you thought that it was a possibility that you wouldn't be back for 2020?
No, you just really can't dive into that. I mean, we completely understand what we signed up for, and it's a production business. And if we don't do well, that's always an opportunity to happen. But I don't worry about that. I do the best I can, and pour into our guys, pour into our staff, and that's all you can do.
As a follow-up to that, do you feel like you guys were able to get some players in the building that are more suited and have more experience in the 3-4 or the different schemes that you've thought about for this team?
No, I don't want to really compare to last year. I'm just excited about this group. Like I've said, I'm really enjoying this group of players. They're just fun to coach, and they give their best, and they're coachable. They give great feedback back to the coaches, and I'm just focusing on the moment.
You got an unusual group at outside linebacker, a couple vets, a couple of rookies. What have you seen? What have you learned about those guys in the last 2-3 weeks?
They're getting better. It's very clear. And, the challenge with that position, especially in the spring, is that, you just can't have the contact that you need to really evaluate them, to really see how they're developing. And so it's been really good to see the pads on. We're going against tight ends. We're going against tackles. We're seeing the physical aspect of things. And so, and since the first day we put on the pads up to our padded practice yesterday, there's been a lot of growth and a lot of improvement. And so that's what we're looking for there. And so, yeah, you're right. There's a diverse group of guys. There's some guys that are pass guys, some guys that may be more run guys. But just the collective group, I'm really happy about them and really happy about how they're progressing.
With Nick and Princely in particular, where have you seen them make the most strides?
It's in everything. It's in first of all, their communication. It's in their stance. It's in the things that they're keen, what they're looking, eyes being in the right spot, rolling off the ball like we're trying to encourage them to do, striking blocks, even in their pass coverage. And so it's been great because a lot of the things we're asking them to do, they didn't really do a lot of it in college. And so I've been really happy to see how they've developed and grown these last couple of weeks.
Jay,
draft picks, are they developing a friendly rivalry between each other?
Well, it's all about competition. That's what Coach Dave preaches, and so it's not even those two. It's just everybody, right? We want competition all the way across the board, and I think that to have the best competition, everybody out there has got to believe they're the best.
Yesterday, you guys had a pretty competitive practice where the defensive line seemed to just be like a wall against the run. When you see that in practice, how can you teach that to carry over into games?
Well, yeah, it's just about, we always say practice preparation equals game reality. So whatever we want to see happen in the game has got to show up in practice. And so it's really exciting to see how we've really come along. Again, kind of going back to the first day of practice, we weren't so great against the run game. And the cool thing is that we're playing against a really good O-line that's really good at running the ball. So I think that's great for us in terms of helping us improve. But to see how we've developed and how the consistency has showed up and how the techniques and fundamentals have improved over the last couple of weeks. It's really been cool to see, and yesterday's practice was a highlight of that.
Moving on now to the offense. Offensive coordinator Brad Idzik had a number of things to say about that crowded wide receiver room, including thoughts on Xavier Legette and the addition of Hunter Renfrow this offseason. But we're going to start with his thoughts on where he feels his quarterback, Bryce Young, has grown the most.
Just looking at where he is today, not even like just a full-scale progression of the whole offense. We challenged him to take his one-on-one conversations that he's having with players, editing routes. Hey, I'm expecting to do this on a break. I'm expecting you to be here at this time. Take that to the full room so the whole unit can grow together. He's really taken that to heart. Right after this, we're going to watch 7-on-7 together as a skill unit. And, when it comes up that something happens on a route for JT or T-Mac or, Adam, whoever it is, he gets to say it to the whole room. And we've challenged him to do that, and he's taken that next step to make sure that everybody's working to, improve together, even though you didn't get the rep. And that's especially important when you have a bunch of young skill guys. So we're trying to steal reps for them by somebody else's experience on the field, and have a lot of the coaching points that we believe in get reverberated by the quarterback.
What have you seen specifically in the early chemistry and connections between Bryce and T-Mac?
Yeah, T-Mac, he just got a good feel for space, right? So we know the type of athlete he is at his size to be able to change direction, but to take advantage of windows, you see it in the first preseason game. He gets leverage, and then he's going to catch the ball. So the thing for them is just continuing to work out the timing on some of those precision routes, because they both have a good feel for it. Now, how does it work within the scope of the play, what Bryce is expected when he hits his back foot and he lets that thing go. Those are the fun things you get to work through in training camp, and continue to dive back in. If you just miss on one, let's hit it the next day, and let's see how many of those we can get accomplished and under our belt before week one.
You've got a pretty deep history with wide receivers, just like Dave. How would you rate the depth of this group right now?
Oh, it's really deep. I just applaud the competition, their approach. So been part of a lot of rooms that have diverse skill sets, but this group top to bottom, we said, hey, we want you to conceptually learn so we can plug you and play in different spots. All those guys are playing different spots. They're all challenging each other and pushing each other, and you don't feel like there's a huge drop-off when you go from one group to the next. Andy always chuckles. He's like, hey, first group's up. All right, second group's up. He's like, no, it's just the next guys, right? And he's like the old Wiley vet. He's like, I don't want to be the twos. I want to be the next guys. And that's truly what it is. They're all making strides together as a group, and they're all pushing each other. And there really isn't a drop-off, because they're feeding off each other's the coaching points, like we were talking about in those 7-on-7 periods where we go watch as a group. They're taking those coaching points to heart, and they're applying to their own game.
Brad, with Damian sidelined and the center competition kind of done, how has that enabled you guys to kind of look at your depth at the guard position, whether it's Brady, whether it's Carter, whether it's Cade, and kind of try to get the most out of that group when you're cross-training?
Yeah, it's honestly you love having D-Lou out there. You love having your five, working together, working through communication. But it's also a blessing in that way to see, okay, who do we have waiting in the wings? Who's working well next to Austin, next to Cade? Who's echoing out the calls to the tackles? So working with those guys and just cycling them through. We were already doing that with D-Lou and with Rob, taking care of those guys, because they take a lot of reps for us during the season. But just trying to get those guys experience with the first group and going against a really good, aggressive defensive line. Derek Brown is back. He's very much back, and he shows up at practice, and that makes all of our guys better. So what better test to put a potential backup to D-Lou, and then he has to go against Derek Brown and Bobby and Turk and all those guys in the interior that are just going full tilt all practice.
Goal for Houston from your standpoint?
Yeah, we're going to have some good, hopefully a little warmer, thicker weather for us. So that'll be a first good fitness goal, right? It's pretty thick right now, but the rain has kind of cooled off the last couple days. Honestly, the defensive structure, we had it last week. Having a new defensive structure is great to test our rules, to show guys how we would attack a different defense. And just having those film sessions after that joint practice is invaluable to us before week one. And then just when you see fresh faces, it's so much easier for the guys now to like, okay, they don't know our concepts. Like you almost have to like, before you get on the plane, say, remember guys, like we've been running these plays, we've been getting good reps at these plays, but now these guys don't know them, all right? So just go run them and trust your technique and trust the things we've experienced over the last 3 weeks and apply it to the practice in the game against Houston.
Jaycee Sanders, how has he grown from this time last year when he was getting a lot of reps out of necessity?
Yeah. He's a valuable weapon for us right now. We've put him outside a couple times and taken advantage of matchups, and teams have to decide whether they want to play nickel to us in 12 or if they want to play base, because we do a lot of movement stuff with our tight ends in the run game where we're not necessarily just putting a one-on-one block at the point of attack, and JT does a really good job of it. You go to the first play of the last game and he's coming across and slicing a defensive end. He's really aggressive when he does that stuff. So his ability in the pass game, but then also his willingness in the run game to play physical with that athleticism, we just have to put him in the right spot to take advantage of those traits.
What have you seen out of Leggett since you brought in T-Mac? Was he threatened by that? And when you finish with that, I wanted to ask you too on Renfro, what you've seen from him too.
Not at all. I don't think Xavier ever feels encroached by others. He truly is focused on honing in his craft, and we were just talking about it downstairs. You give the guy a coaching point, he's going to try to do it exactly the way you say. So there's a nice happy medium there with a guy who's so fast and physical to just let him run and then to give him the one tidbit he might need on a route. But we all know when he opens it up and he runs, that's one of the greatest assets he could have to our team, and he's going to get a lot of separation that way. So it's finding that happy balance of a guy who wants to do things the right way, and then how many rules, how many structures do you put in place for him that might slow him down a tick from just going full gas. And we've loved the physicality he's played with, the aggression, maybe not some of the aggression on the game day, but he showed up in practice just playing with his hands and attacking balls, and that all comes with confidence in the scheme. Him and Coker coming into year 2, it's really showed up. Coker's laughed about it. He's it's so nice having to, you get to go out there and I don't have to worry about just where I'm lined up. Don't have to worry about my split. He gets to focus on how do I beat the guy across from me. And you see that from both of those two guys right now as they play fast and physical. That just shows you that they're more comfortable in the scheme.
And Renfro, what's he bring to you guys?
He just gets open. He just knows how to get open. I was even laughing with Adam about it after practice. There was a little corner route. You might have bad leverage. He knows how to steal leverage. He's got freaky lateral quickness, and then when he opens up, he's big strides, a powerful first 4 steps, which simulates I'm going full tilt vertical. And I think he said it in a presser the other week, right? Everything stems off the vertical. Everything stems off the vertical. Well, how many vertical, has he run true go balls outside? No, that's not really his craft, right? But he simulates that every single time, and then he eats up whatever leverage you give him. And he just does a phenomenal job of it. And then keeping him, similar to what we were talking about with T-Mac, in a wheelhouse of timing that works for the quarterback, that's the key. So just making sure that those two are on the same page. Sometimes that is, hey, you got to work this one on the side, make sure that you know when Bryce is trying to get rid of the ball and how much time you have to work, because if you give him 5 seconds, he'll get open versus anyone, but we don't have 5 seconds. So it's keeping that in a nice box for us.
And finally, special teams coordinator Tracy Smith gave an update on the kicker competition.
The kicker competition is going great. Both guys are doing a really nice job. They both made their kicks in the game. That's the most important part of it, and we're going to keep going forward in the same way until it's time to figure it out.
What other parts of the kicking competition that we may not see, perhaps because we see, okay, they go 4 or 5 on the field goals or whatever. What parts of the kicking competition that we don't see is important that you evaluate?
Well, their warm-up set before that is at least twice as long, if not 3 times as long. All those kicks are the same kicks for them, taking the team out of it. So that matters. Their pregame set and all the various stadiums that we're in throughout this time, that matters as well. The joint practices, whatever you can. And then those 5 kicks that you're seeing in the daytime, that's showtime. And then the kickoff period counts, or the kickoff return period, whichever one we're doing that day. So all of that kind of goes into it, and in the end you try to see who's best for the team.
How
Now, as I mentioned at the beginning of this video, today's practice was not a padded practice, so we didn't get a chance to see one-on-ones like we did Monday, but we did get to stay and watch the team drills. So I'm going to give you a few more plays than I did yesterday. I had a chance to write a few more of those down. So again, I know Chris normally gives you every play he sees, but I do have some stuff to share. We're going to start with Bryce Young and the ones 7-on-7 work. So the first play we saw there, it was incomplete to Xavier Legette. Corey Thornton with the pass breakup. He was sharp on defense today, and honestly, I do think defense kind of outplayed the offense today if you're looking at an overall review of what I saw on the field there. The next play was a deep pass to Jalen Coker. Once again, it was Thornton in coverage. Coker did look at the ref and said, hey, where's the penalty? But he ended up not getting his call that he wanted there. The next play, it's a short completion to Trevor Etienne, followed by Bryce Young connecting with David Moore across the middle. That was in tight coverage as well. Moving on now to Bryce Young and the 1's red zone work. This one started off with a swing pass to Chuba Hubbard to the right. The next play, misdirection, swing pass to Rico Dowdle. That was a touchdown. They continued to run a few more plays during that time of work. The next one, Young did have to throw the ball away. Had it been live action, Bryce most likely would have been sacked on that play. That was followed by a pass tipped at the line of scrimmage. So again, I'm going to reiterate the fact that the defense was on fire today during these team drills. A lot of excitement from that side of the ball and from that group as well. And then Bryce Young in the final 11-on-11 period. This was a goal line situation that we had a chance to watch. The first play, it was a rollout and completion to Chuba. That was followed by Chuba up the middle for a game. Then, once again, you know who it is. It's the defense. It was a batted pass at the line of scrimmage, followed by an RPO incomplete. The next play, we saw Young with a complete pass to Hunter Renfrow in flats for the touchdown. And then this group ran one more play before they came off the field for the next group to come in, and that play was Blackshear with a run up the middle. So that's a look at some of the plays we saw today. A lot of competition as training camp continues to go on. A lot of folks wanting to show why they should be a starter, why they should make this roster. And again, the team, guess what? It's joint practices with the Houston Texans next. They're off tomorrow. It's a travel day. And of course, Charlotte Vibe will be providing you with coverage from both the joint practice and the team's second preseason game this weekend. So make sure, if you haven't, you hit subscribe, you comment, like, follow. A couple injury updates before I sign off. We did see Robert Hunt go down yesterday. He was back on the field today, and he was going through drills and plays. He did have his ankle taped up today, but again, it didn't really seem to limit him. And finally, we did share with you yesterday that Austin Corbett won the starting center position over Cade Mays, but today Mays was getting some work in at left guard, so we'll continue to monitor that situation and how the O-line shapes up this season. But again, it's been a joy to be here on Charlotte Vibe with you, filling in for Chris Jenkins as he's been off, but I know he's excited to be back with you guys very soon.